Welcome to this week's What's for Dinner video. My name is Ashley. I'm going to be showing you 3 different meals I made this past week. I don't always follow recipes exactly, but if you're interested, I've linked some similar recipes down below. So the first dinner I'm going to be showing you, I made some shredded chicken chimichangas. So I am starting off with my Mexican rice because this does take the longest. So I did toast 1 cup of white rice, and then I added 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and half a teaspoon of cumin. So once those spices become fragrant, I'm going to add in half a can of an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. Next, I'm going to add 2 cups of water and 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon and 1 teaspoon of tomato bouillon, and those powders will act as a broth. So I'm going to mix that all together, make sure everything is well combined, and then I'm going to bring it up to a rapid simmer, turn the heat down, and put a lid on it. So while I was cooking the rice, I had 2 chicken breasts cooking in my Instant Pot ready for me to shred. I also like to keep some of the liquid from the Instant Pot because shredded chicken does absorb a lot of liquid and keeps it nice and juicy. So I'm just going to shred both chicken breasts up with a fork. Next, I'm going to season the chicken again. I did season it before it went in, but you also want to season it after. I added some sour cream, some taco seasoning, some cumin, and some more chicken bouillon powder. I like to add sour cream to the chicken because I just love the texture that it gives the chicken and just keeps it nice and juicy. So next, I'm just going to make a quick guacamole. I'm just using some leftover avocados that I had that I didn't want to waste. Squeeze a little bit of lime juice, add some garlic salt and some pepper and some onion powder, and this is basically all I put in my little side of guacamole. Next, I'm going to start assembling the chimichanga, which is pretty easy. I just warmed up some refried beans in a glass bowl in the microwave. Just going to spread that where I believe I'm going to kind of wrap the burrito chimichanga. I added in some of the shredded chicken, and then I'm adding a little bit of this Mexican table cream, and then I'm going to just add a couple handfuls of cheese. So I'm assuming you just kind of wrap it how you would a regular burrito. You want to place everything seam side down and also in the oil when you fry it. So you want to place it seam side down in the oil so it'll kind of fry close. So once it's nice and brown on the bottom, then you just want to be careful to flip it. Once it's done, you want to pick it up and drain off the excess oil as much as you can, and then I placed mine on a wire rack to finish cooling. This is how everything looked when it was done. I just topped it with some more of the table cream, some cabbage, and the guacamole. The next dinner I'm going to be showing you is just a classic chicken fettuccine Alfredo with an all-white Alfredo sauce. So I'm going to start off with my chicken. I am using 1 full chicken breast, just butterflied in half, and half a box of fettuccine noodles. So I'm just going to season my chicken with some of the basic seasonings. I'm going to use some garlic salt, some garlic powder, some paprika for color, and some pepper. So I'm just going to rub that in, make sure every piece of the chicken is nice and coated, and then I did the same for the other side. So next I'm going to get started cooking the chicken. I'm just cooking the chicken in this big wok because that's where I will be cooking the pasta. So I'm just going to let this cook on the one side until it is nice and brown, and then I'm just going to flip it and put a lid on it. So once the chicken was done, I just removed it to a cutting board and put a piece of foil on top to keep it nice and warm. So next I'm just going to cook some broccoli for our side. I'm just seasoning it with some garlic salt, some garlic powder, and giving it a nice toss. This will go in the oven at 350 to roast. So next I'm going to work on the sauce, which is like the main part of this dish. I am just going to melt half a stick of butter in this big wok, and I'm going to add in some minced garlic and kind of start cooking that down as well. So next I'm going to add in my heavy whipping cream. Unfortunately, I don't measure anything, so I can't tell you exactly how much. Kind of just gauge it. If it needs more cream in the pasta, you can definitely add some more at the end. So while this is starting to warm up, I'm just going to start seasoning it. I'm going to add in some onion powder and some garlic powder. Because this is going to be an all white sauce, I'm not going to add any black pepper or any other spices with color. So next I'm going to add in Parmesan cheese. I'm just going to use the canned kind because I'm not special. I'm just going to stir that around and kind of add as much as needed. You also want to wait to add any salt because cheese does have salt, so kind of add it at the end. So once the salt is my desired consistency and taste, I'm going to add in my fettuccine noodles. I just used half a box. These were sitting for a minute, so they're a little stuck together. So I'm just going to mix in all of my noodles, and this is where you can kind of tell if you don't have enough cream. You can definitely add more. So I'm just going to give this a nice mix, make sure everything is evenly coated, and this was definitely enough sauce for me. This is how his plate looked at the end. This was super, super good. I love just a classic fettuccine chicken Alfredo. The next dinner I'm going to be showing you, I made a beef and noodle stir fry. This one I was definitely proud of. So for this recipe, I'm going to make my own stir fry sauce. I'm going to use some soy sauce, some hoisin sauce, a little bit of sriracha, and a good amount of honey. I'm not using any sugar, so I'm going to do a good amount of honey to make this nice and sweet. And then I'm going to add in half a cup of water and a teaspoon of chicken bouillon powder. So I'm just going to work on chopping my veggies for this dish. I'm just using part of a red bell pepper, not too much because the husband doesn't love them. And then I'm also going to chop up some green onion. This will go in the dish at the end and then on top for garnish. So we are going to cook the red bell pepper first. I'm just going to throw that in and get it a little nice and soft, and then I will add in the steak. So I'm going to throw in some petite sirloin. I'm just going to toss that around. I did turn my pan up to about high heat. That way you will see all of the liquid start to evaporate when the pan gets nice and hot. So I'm just going to cook this up until all the steak is cooked all the way through. At the same time, I do have 2 packets of ramen boiling. Next, I'm going to throw in some broccoli that I chopped up and put in the oven to roast a little bit, and then I'm going to throw in the sauce. So I'm going to use some cornstarch slurry to help thicken up the sauce. This just kind of works as it cooks and it'll slightly reduce and thicken. So once the sauce has slightly reduced, I'm going to throw in my ramen noodles and toss that all around. You can definitely add any other sauce that you want at this point. This is how everything looked when it was done. I was super proud of this dish and it had lots and lots of flavor. I also just cooked some pot stickers on the side. This is how it looks plated. Thank you so much for watching this week's What's for Dinner video. Make sure you come back next week for another one.